Have you ever felt trapped by other people's opinions? At work, among friends, or in the vast expanse of social media? These outside voices can foster insecurity and make us doubt ourselves. But imagine being able to free yourself from this burden. Today we'll dive into the wonderful world of Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that offers powerful tools for building inner confidence. We'll look at 9 key lessons that will help you not only gain confidence, but also learn how to take control of your life without relying on the opinions of others. Are you ready to take a step toward freedom from insecurity? Then let's begin this exciting journey together. Lesson 1. The power of preparation. What is it that causes you the most uncertainty? Is it a sense of uncertainty, fear of the unknown, or fear that things will go wrong at the worst possible moment? For Stoics, the secret to managing this uncertainty lies in a practice known as malom meditation, which involves mentally preparing for the worst-case scenario. Think about it. Uncertainty often arises when there is a sense of being unprepared for possible events. Worries begin to surface about what might happen, about unexpected circumstances that can throw you off balance. But what if one could anticipate these moments and be morally prepared for them? That's exactly how the Stoics operate. By imagining worst-case scenarios not out of pessimism, but with a pragmatic approach, you can prepare yourself for any difficulties and reduce the anxiety associated with uncertainty. Imagine you have an important presentation at work or at an educational institution. It is normal to feel nervous and some uncertainty. There may be a fear of being asked a question that has no answer. But instead of letting that uncertainty paralyze you, you can apply malom meditation to your preparation. What if the projector fails? What if the question is too difficult? By anticipating these situations and strategizing how to handle them, you can become more confident because you no longer find yourself at a loss. How many times have you felt overwhelmed because of an unforeseen situation? What if you were prepared? Practicing Stoic preparation provides this benefit. You are no longer the victim of the unexpected, but become someone who has already considered all possible obstacles and is prepared to deal with them. Uncertainty is reduced, and there is a sense of control over the situation. Malom meditation is not pessimism, but an exercise in intelligent foresight. It is necessary not to imagine the worst in order to remain in fear. It is done in order to have a plan of action when something happens. By preparing for difficulties, one not only reduces the fear of the unknown, but also realizes that there are tools to adapt and keep moving forward. Think about it for a moment. If you are prepared for any difficulty, even the most difficult scenarios, they no longer look so daunting. You know what to do because it's already foreseen. This is the true power of preparation. When you visualize, you free yourself from uncertainty and move from asking, "What if?" to saying, "If this happens, I know what to do." It is recommended that you try this. The next time anxiety or uncertainty appears before a challenge, pause. Ask yourself a question. What's the worst that could happen? Then think about how your mind will begin to find solutions, and the uncertainty will transform into confidence. Remember, preparation gives strength. Don't let uncertainty scare you, because even in the most difficult situations, you can be mentally prepared to act with equanimity and clarity. Lesson 2. Perseverance as an antidote to uncertainty. One of the central teachings of Stoicism is that perseverance is the key to overcoming uncertainty. Uncertainty often arises when obstacles seem insurmountable or when results are not immediately apparent. Stoics remind us that with perseverance, we can overcome any difficulty by gradually building an inner confidence independent of external conditions. Think about how many times you have felt insecure when something seemed too difficult or unattainable. Perhaps it happened while working on a personal project, trying to make improvements at work, or in a difficult emotional situation. It's easy to fall into insecurity when it seems like efforts aren't paying off. And this is where it's worth remembering the lesson of Stoicism: perseverance. The art of living is like the art of fighting, where one must be ready for anything and persevere despite obstacles. Every challenge for the Stoics was an opportunity to persevere and grow. Perseverance teaches that even if results are not immediately visible, every step counts and brings you closer to your goal. Insecurity is often rooted in fear of failure or rejection. A sense of uncertainty grips at times when it's unclear whether challenges will be overcome. But through perseverance, it becomes clear that the important thing is not to strive for perfection or immediate success. The important thing is to keep moving, and learn along the way. Each small step reduces uncertainty because the confidence to keep moving forward grows. For example, imagine you are learning a new skill. At the beginning, it's natural to feel insecure because the process is not yet complete. However, with constant practice, confidence begins to grow. The key is not to give up in difficult moments and to keep moving, even if the steps are small. Question: have you faced uncertainty when faced with a major challenge that seemed insurmountable? Stoics advise to see such challenges not as obstacles, but as a series of small steps you can take. Focus not on the need for immediate success, but on confidence in your ability to move forward despite possible setbacks. This is the essence of persistence. It not only helps you overcome obstacles, but also creates a sense of control. As one progresses, however slowly, one realizes that one's ability to handle challenges increases. Each time perseverance is chosen, uncertainty fades into the background. The next time a feeling of uncertainty arises in the face of a challenging situation, ask yourself, can I take one more step, no matter how small it may be? The key is to keep going. Over time, it will become apparent how persistence will lead to results you never dreamed of, and with each step, the uncertainty will diminish. Lesson 3. Amor fati, love of fate. Imagine for a moment that everything that has happened in your life, both the joyous moments and the difficult trials, are not mere accidents, but necessary events that are worth learning to appreciate and love. This is the philosophy known as amor fati, or love of fate, that the Stoics preached. For them, it was not only about humility in the face of circumstances, but also about deeply accepting and loving every moment, realizing that everything that happens is part of our journey. As Marcus Aurelius said, love everything that happens to you, for it is part of what you are meant to do. Think about it. How many times have you felt insecure when something went wrong or didn't work out the way you intended? It could be failure at work, personal rejection, or unexpected twists of fate. In such moments, there is an inner resistance. This principle indicates that by resisting circumstances, we only deepen our insecurities. Resistance generates an inner struggle, filling us with doubt, anxiety, and above all, fear of what is unknown. Now ask yourself this question: what would happen if instead of resisting, you began to embrace every situation, seeing even the most difficult experiences as opportunities for growth? It's not just about humility here, it's about loving each situation, recognizing that each challenge carries meaning. Even if that meaning isn't obvious right now, what does that have to do with your insecurity? Uncertainty often comes when control seems to be lost, or when events don't go according to a predetermined plan. But by applying the concept of amor fati, you begin to see difficulties as important elements of your destiny, as steps on your life path. Now you don't have to fear failure, because every fall is not just a disappointment, but a lesson to be learned. For example, Imagine that you have just lost your job. Your first reaction may be fear and uncertainty, thinking that it's your fault and whether you could have avoided such a turnaround. But if you are practicing amor fati, you will see this loss not as an obstacle, but as a chance. Maybe this layoff was just the push you needed to find a job that truly inspires you. Maybe this time will provide an opportunity to develop skills that you didn't have time for before. Don't you notice a shift in perception from this new perspective? This shift in thinking transforms your attitude toward uncertainty. By accepting everything that happens to you, even the most painful moments, you are freed from fear. Every event, even the most challenging, becomes an opportunity for growth rather than a cause for anxiety. Think back to a difficult time in your life. What did you learn from this experience? How did it contribute to your development and shape your personality? Reflecting on this will help you see that, despite the pain at the time, there was deep meaning hidden in every challenge. This is what amor fati is all about. It is not just a tool for dealing with adversity. It is a way to find inner peace and confidence in the midst of chaos, by accepting that everything that happens to you has a purpose, regardless of external circumstances. Now, there is no need for everything to go perfectly in order to feel confident. On the contrary, the philosophy of amor fati teaches that even seeming failures can be disguised opportunities. When you begin to love everything that happens to you, your insecurities dissolve and you meet life as the best version of yourself. Lesson 4. Swim with change to find inner peace. Changes are often unsettling for us. They can bring discomfort and even pain. However, if there is anything inevitable in life, it is change. The Stoics were keenly aware of this, and instead of resisting it, accepted it as an integral part of their journey. Resisting change only deepens suffering. Think about it. How many times have you wished things could stay the same? Perhaps you were comfortable with your current situation, and any change made you insecure. This insecurity is rooted in our attachment to the illusion of stability, when it seems that permanence will provide security. But when change comes, whether it's a new job or unexpected circumstances, what happens when you cling to the old? Fear and anxiety only increase. Stoics teach that it's important to embrace change with an open heart and a flexible mind. It's not about humility here. It's about realizing that everything around you is constantly changing and evolving. When you accept this truth, fear begins to subside and you begin to see change as an opportunity for personal growth. Imagine you are facing an important change, such as moving or changing jobs. It's natural to feel fear, but if you look at this change as a new adventure, as a chance for self-improvement, the uncertainty begins to recede. With an open mind to change, you begin to see the potential for positive change. Ask yourself this question. Are there changes in your life that cause you fear or uncertainty? Accepting change is recognizing your ability to adapt, transform, and grow in a new environment. Each time you do, you realize that you are capable of meeting far greater challenges than you anticipated. Change is an opportunity to rediscover yourself, your talents, and your inner resources. So the next time you are faced with change, ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation? Seeing change as a chance, not a threat, not only helps you overcome fear, but also prepares you for future challenges, turning each change into a step in your development. Lesson 5. Focus on what you can control. The dichotomy of control is one of the most profound teachings of Stoicism. This principle, expounded by Epictetus, urges us to distinguish between what is in our control and what is not. Although it looks simple, its impact on our lives and our struggle with insecurity is enormous. When we begin to understand and apply this principle, our perception of the world changes dramatically. Think about it. How many times have you felt down because of things you couldn't change? Perhaps it was the opinion of others, the outcome of a job interview, or even the vagaries of the weather that ruined your plans. Insecurity often arises in those moments when we try to control things that are beyond our control. In such moments, we feel anxious, frustrated, and sometimes completely helpless. But what if we could get rid of this burden? Epictetus clearly said, "Some things depend on us and some things do not." The bottom line is that insecurity shows up when we put our emotional and mental energy into things that are beyond our control. We worry about how people perceive us, about outcomes that are beyond our control. In fact, we can't control the opinions of others or events that happen outside of our control. So how can the dichotomy of control help us reduce insecurity? The answer is simple. Focus on your actions, decisions, and reactions. Everything else, from the behavior of others to uncertain outcomes, is out of our control. Let's take an example. Imagine you have an important job interview. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of wondering if you'll be chosen, if the interviewer will like you. But are you in control? But you can control your preparation, how you present your skills, and how you answer questions. If you focus on just that, insecurity will start to recede because you're focusing your energy on what you can change and letting go of what's out of your control. This principle doesn't just apply in the professional realm. In personal relationships, we often feel insecure, not knowing how others perceive us and how to meet their expectations. However, the dichotomy of control teaches us that we cannot change others' perceptions or their opinions of us. What is within our power is our actions, our communication, and our honesty in our actions. By focusing on these aspects, we are freed from the pressure of control and begin to feel more confident. The dichotomy of control also helps us to accept results more calmly, knowing that we have done our best. We can rest assured that the rest is out of our hands, and this acceptance reduces anxiety levels. You know that you've prepared, you've given your 100%, and what happens next is out of your control. Instead of worrying about the future, focus on what you can do right now. To make this principle really work in your life, it's helpful to ask yourself one question. Is this something I can control? If the answer is no, let it go and focus your energy on what is available to you. This practice not only brings peace of mind, but also helps you build your inner confidence on a more solid foundation. Remember, your energy is limited, and the more you spend it trying to control the impossible, the more insecurity you will feel. But if you learn to channel that energy into your actions, decisions, and reactions, you'll notice your confidence begin to grow. Lesson 6. The power of self-control. Self-discipline, according to the Stoics, is the cornerstone of a balanced life. Freedom does not depend on external circumstances, but is rooted in an inner state that can only be achieved through self-control. When we talk about self-discipline, we are not only talking about momentary will, but also about the ability to stay true to one's principles and decisions day after day. According to the Stoics, when our lives get out of control, we begin to feel that external events or emotions are controlling us, leading us down paths we didn't consciously choose. But it is self-discipline that gives us back that control. When we are disciplined, we act in accordance with our goals and principles, which brings a sense of stability and meaning. The more control you have over your actions, the less room there is for doubt and fear. Imagine this situation. You want to improve your physical health, but you keep falling back into bad habits. Lack of self-discipline leads to frustration, which over time negatively affects your self-esteem and fuels insecurity. However, if you practice self-discipline and establish an exercise regimen, You not only improve your physical condition, but also build your inner confidence. Small victories, such as following a daily plan or quitting a bad habit, create a strong foundation for self-confidence. Self-discipline also helps you better manage your emotions. Insecurity is often related to how we react emotionally to challenges and setbacks. If we let our emotions rule us, it's easy to lose confidence as our reactions become impulsive and uncontrollable. But by developing emotional self-discipline, we learn to pause, reflect, and respond consciously. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions, but rather managing them in a way that is beneficial. Imagine facing criticism at work. Without self-discipline, insecurity and emotional reactivity can take over, causing you to doubt your abilities or react defensively. However, with self-discipline, instead of reacting impulsively, you can learn to control your reactions, stay calm, and learn a lesson from the situation. In addition, self-discipline helps you maintain positive habits that build your confidence, whether it's exercising regularly or completing personal projects. Each disciplined step sends a clear message to your mind. You are capable of achieving your goals. This has a direct impact on your self-image. Each time you keep moving forward despite distractions or discomfort, you affirm your ability to control your life, which reduces insecurity. The key to self-discipline is to strive for excellence rather than rigidity. Consistency in small daily decisions sets the stage for a life well lived. Over time, disciplined decisions such as rising early, honoring commitments, or maintaining a positive attitude create a cycle of self-confidence that helps overcome insecurity. In this way, self-discipline allows you to act according to your principles rather than being influenced by emotions or external circumstances. By practicing it, you build confidence and become the master of your destiny rather than the victim of circumstances. Lesson 7. Memento Mori, reflecting on death. What if you learned that thinking about death can be one of the most powerful tools for overcoming insecurity? The Stoics had a principle called memento mori, which translates to remember death. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most influential philosophers of Stoicism, put it very precisely. Don't act as if you have many years ahead of you. We waste time worrying about things that, on the scale of life, don't matter. Perhaps you worry about what others will think, whether you can succeed in your career, or whether you made a mistake in public. Insecurity arises when we get stuck in these thoughts. Now imagine that you contemplate death for a moment. How your perception changes, doesn't it? Memento mori is not a somber reminder to make us sad, but a call to live with a sense of urgency and purpose. When we realize the finitude of our lives, we begin to give importance to what really matters. Ask yourself this question. If you knew you only had a year of life left, would you worry so much about the opinions of others? Would you let the fear of failure stop you from trying something new? Probably not. Thinking about death helps us focus on what's important, freeing us from superficial worries and letting go of the little things that don't really matter. From a long-term perspective, we realize that wasting time on fears that won't change our lives is a waste. Try the following exercise. Think about a situation that has recently caused you insecurity. It could have been something at work, a social interaction, or an important decision. Now look at that situation through the lens of memento mori. Have your thoughts changed? If you remembered the finality of life, it probably caused less fear. It gives perspective but also freedom. If we know our time is limited, why not live life to the fullest without letting uncertainty hold us back? By realizing that we all face the same fate, we are freed from the pressure to be perfect or to please everyone. Suddenly, everyday fears lose their significance and we find the courage to act in accordance with our true desires and values. Memento mori also reminds us not to put off important things. How many times have you put something off because of fear or uncertainty? It could have been a personal project, an important conversation, or a life change. By reminding ourselves of the brevity of life, we give ourselves permission to act now instead of waiting for tomorrow or an uncertain moment in the future. After all, we don't know how much time we have left. Thus, contemplating death does not fill us with fear, but gives us clarity. They free us from petty worries and help us focus on what really matters. We begin to see life from a new perspective that inspires us to live life to the fullest without letting uncertainty hold us back. Lesson 8. Freedom in letting go. Insecurity often arises when we become too attached to things that are beyond our control. Outcomes, the opinions of others, or the circumstances in which we find ourselves. The Stoic practice of detachment teaches us to let go of our dependence on external factors for a sense of certainty and instead focus on what is truly within our control, our actions, and how we handle life's challenges. Think about how many times you've experienced anxiety trying to make things happen exactly the way you wanted them to. Maybe you've worried about accomplishing a specific goal or relied too much on someone else's opinion for your own peace of mind. This attachment to results and external validation only reinforces your insecurities. Practicing detachment doesn't mean you don't care about what's going on. Rather, it helps relieve the emotional burden and allows you to focus on efforts that you do have control over. Imagine you're working on an important project. Instead of obsessing over the end result, you learn to focus on the process. You're putting your best foot forward, doing your best, and regardless of the outcome, you know you've done your best. Letting go of the need to control the outcome frees you from the things that rob you of peace of mind. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means accepting that not everything in the world is under your control. This acceptance allows you to move forward with confidence without letting fear or uncertainty hold you back. Think back to one time when you were preparing for an important event, whether it was an exam, a presentation, or a job interview. You may have been obsessing about how you would be perceived, what others would think, and it was causing you anxiety. But once you decided to focus on your preparation, on what you can do right now, the fear began to recede. When you stopped thinking about what you couldn't control and started taking action, your confidence began to grow. This shift in approach opens up new horizons, allowing you to focus on what really matters. Instead of wasting energy worrying about results, you start using your energy to improve your skills and grow. Every step, every effort becomes important because you know you're doing your best, and that's true power. Thus, detachment allows you not only to find peace of mind, but also to become more confident in your actions, which ultimately leads to greater success and satisfaction in life. Lesson 9. Living by principles. Have you ever felt insecure about your decisions or how others perceive you? Everyone is familiar with this feeling, but the Stoics offered a profound and practical solution: to live by firm principles. For them, these principles were not just a recommendation, but the foundation of a full and harmonious life. When we talk about principles, we are not talking about striving for perfection, but about following 4 key pillars: clarity, justice, courage, and self-control. Each of these pillars builds your character and gives you confidence independent of external circumstances. Think about it. Every time you make a decision, do you base it on the opinions of others or on your inner convictions? This is where the importance of principles becomes clear. When you make a decision with clarity, having a clear idea of what's best for you and others, you develop a confidence that doesn't depend on outside approval. Imagine you're facing a difficult situation at work or in your personal life. The temptation to give in to external pressure may be great, But if you act justly and courageously, this decision will bring you inner peace, regardless of the opinions of others. You know you did the right thing, and it gives you strength. This approach frees you from anxiety related to the outcome or the opinion of others. Now think back to moments of doubt when you wondered, did I do the right thing? If you have acted with fairness, courage, or self-control, inner conviction brings a peace that will not change under any external circumstances. Imagine you have to make a morally difficult decision. Perhaps you've witnessed an injustice at work. Although it may be scary to speak out, if you choose to act with clarity and courage, even if it results in unpleasant consequences, you will have the satisfaction of doing the right thing. Now ask yourself this question: how does it feel to make decisions based on your principles rather than succumbing to social pressure? That sense of peace comes from following your deepest values. When you cultivate these principles in your daily life, you create a strong foundation that protects you from external circumstances. It's not about striving for perfection, it's about acting in accordance with the core principles, living with clarity, fairness, courage, and self-control. This not only builds your confidence, but also protects you from insecurity, because ultimately, it's how you live your life that matters, not just what's going on around you. The next time you find yourself doubting your decisions, ask yourself, am I acting with clarity, acting justly and courageously? Am I maintaining self-control? If the answer is yes, you can move forward with confidence, knowing that true security comes from acting on your principles, not from the results or opinions of others. Remember that living according to the virtues gives you an inner confidence that cannot be shaken by circumstances or other people's opinions. Today we looked at how to overcome insecurity and gain self-confidence based on the philosophy of Stoicism. Uncertainty is a natural state that many of us experience, but it should not define our lives. Stoic principles such as clarity, fairness, courage, and self-control become pillars we can lean on in difficult moments. Making decisions based on these values helps us build inner confidence, independent of the opinions of others. Now, when you face uncertainty, remember, your strength lies in living by your principles, focusing on what you can control and letting go of what is beyond your influence. Let these ideas be your guide on the road to confidence, and may every step you take bring you closer to a life of meaning and resilience. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share this video with someone who will care. Which of the Stoicism principles discussed do you think are most useful for overcoming insecurity? Do you have your own methods or practices that help you deal with this feeling? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. May each of you find the strength and confidence to follow your principles and live life to the fullest. Don't be afraid to make decisions based on your values, and remember that true confidence comes from within.